My dear fans, welcome to my channel. Today I am going to narrate for you the story about one of Uganda's colonial president, and that is IDI Amin Dada. But before we continue, do me a favor and subscribe to my channel, like, share and comment. Below is a concise but thorough biography covering Idi Amin's early life, military rise, presidency, policies and abuses, fall, exile, death, and legacy. Introduction. Idi Amin Dada, often given birth years 1924-25 or 1928 in different sources, was a Ugandan military officer who seized power in a 1971 coup and ruled as a brutal dictator until his overthrow in 1979. His rule is remembered for mass killings, human rights abuses, the 1972 expulsion of Asians, economic collapse, and foreign adventures that provoked war with Tanzania. He lived the rest of his life in exile and died in Saudi Arabia in 2003. Early life and background, birth and family. Sources differ on Amin's exact birth year and place. Some major references list his birth as in the mid-1920s in Koboko, West Nile region. Other records give the 30th of May 1928 and place of birth variously as Kampala's Nakasera area. The inconsistency reflects poor record-keeping and differing biographies. He was from the small Kakwa ethnic group and had a mixed family background. His education and early work. Amin had a little formal schooling. As a young man he worked as a cook and a gardener before joining the British colonial forces. His military career, which is the foundation of his power. Colonial Army service. In 1946 Amin joined the King's African Rifles, KAR, the British colonial regiment. Over the next 2 decades he rose through non-commissioned and then commissioned ranks, served in operations in East Africa, and became known as a tough soldier and boxer. He was one of the early African officers promoted as colonial armies, Africanized, before independence. His post-independence rise. After Uganda's independence, 1962, Amin continued rapid promotions. He became army commander, and by the late 1960s he was a powerful figure in the armed forces and a close associate of Prime Minister Milton Obote until relations turned sour. How he rose to power. The 1971 coup. On the 25th of January 1971, while Milton Obote was out of the country attending Commonwealth Summit in Singapore, Amin seized power in a military coup and declared himself a head of state. He suspended the constitution and moved quickly to consolidate control over the army and government. Presidency, 1971 to 1979, policies, repression, and consequences.
Let's take a break. Alright, let's continue with our story about Idi Dada, the former president of Uganda. But please show me your support by subscribing to this channel, like, share and comment. Let's get there.
Authoritarian rule. Amin ruled by decree, replacing civil servants, purging opponents, and sidelining institutions of law and governance. He promoted members of northern Uganda and Muslim groups in the military to secure loyalty. Expulsion of Asians, 1972. In August 1972, Amin ordered the expulsion of Uganda's Asian, mainly South Asian minority. Tens of thousands were given short notice to leave, and their businesses and property were nationalized to Amin's loyalists. The decree caused major economic disruption and international condemnation. Human rights abuses and killings. Amin's regime is widely documented as responsible for widespread killings, disappearances, torture, and arbitrary detentions. Independent human rights organizations and later investigations described large-scale abuses. Scholarly estimates of the number of victims vary. Estimates commonly cited range from tens of thousands to several hundred thousand. International organizations and inquiries at the time documented many specific atrocities. Economy and society. The combination of mismanagement, looting by security forces, the loss of skilled Asian workers, and international isolation produced sharp economic decline, shortages, and the breakdown of public services. Personality and propaganda. Amin cultivated a flamboyant, often unpredictable public persona using radio broadcasts, grand titles, and public spectacles. He promoted himself to field marshal and used honorifics. He made bizarre public statements and sought alliances opportunistically. Foreign relations and regional actions. Amin's foreign alignments shifted. Early contacts with Israel were later reversed, and he drew support from Libya, Muammar Gaddafi, and at times from other external patrons. His unpredictable diplomacy and cross-border raids strained relations with neighbors and the West. Fall from power. This happened during the Uganda-Tanzania War, 1978-1979. After cross-border incidents and Amin's invasion of Tanzania's Kagera region, Tanzanian forces counter-attacked, often in alliance with Ugandan exiles opposed to Amin. The Tanzania-Uganda War, late 1978-1979, culminated in the fall of Kampala and Amin's flight from Uganda in April 1979. Exile and death. Amin first fled to Libya, then traveled through several countries and eventually settled in Saudi Arabia, where he lived under an arrangement that allowed him and some family members to remain. Death. Idi Amin died in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, on the 16th of August 2003. Reports give his age in the late 70s. He was buried in Jeddah. Requests to repatriate his remains were not honored at the time. Legacy. Contested memory and historical judgment. Human rights legacy. Amin is widely judged by historians, human rights organizations, and international observers as one of post-war Africa's most brutal dictators. His years in power are associated with mass murder, repression, economic collapse.